Web Development 101, Lesson 1, Introduction. So this course is the first unit that we're going to cover in our class, and we're going to learn how to build web pages with HTML and CSS. So at the very end, the last thing you'll be doing is building your own responsive web page. Or website, which has multiple pages in it. So this course that we're going to complete, this first large unit, is actually 12 chapters that are broken up and teach you different HTML and CSS methods and tags and properties to help build web pages that are super cool. So each of these are going to have multiple modules. You can see the modules at the top of the screen here. So this is lesson 1, and it has 12 modules to it. So each module has a lot of reading in it and experimenting with code, because we learn how to code by actually doing it and experimenting. So as we go through, it's going to be very important that you not only read or use Google Read-Write or some other extension to read to you all of the information, but that you also solve the programming challenges before you move on to the next module. Otherwise, you're going to get behind and not understand what's going on. Everything builds on each other. There's also a quiz at the end of each one that will test your knowledge of the concepts that were covered, and then there's projects for you to build at the end of the chapter. There are several projects that are graded. You will always know which one is graded well before you get to it, and you will get a rubric that goes with it. So when we're going through the lessons, you're going to see these icons in the front of some of these items. The purple question mark is a new concept, so a new term or idea. The I is informational. It's going to show a diagram and describe HTML or CSS code. The puzzle piece is a puzzle, so it's going to be a programming challenge to test the skills of the code you just learned. The pencil is going to be the quiz, and then anything with this gear is going to be a project that you're going to work on. So the projects have like a list of requirements, things it wants you to do, but it's really important that you're just creative and have fun with it and learn to do the code. There's more than one way to solve a problem when you're coding. So here's some of the projects that are in here. There's a lot of them. We will not be grading all of these, so you don't need to worry about that. They're not all graded. In the syllabus, you can see what is graded. So let's talk about what is the World Wide Web. Well, the World Wide Web is just a network of computers that share documents with each other. Those documents are called web pages. A website is a group of web pages that are linked together. There are over 1 billion websites, which is crazy. So computers that store and send the web pages are called web servers, and the computers that receive them are called clients. So your phone is a client. If you have a document on your computer that you're sharing, that makes your computer a server. Now, technically, everything that we share on ours right now are going through Google, like if you share a document, so that's a server somewhere that Google owns. When you are using a client, so your computer, a Chromebook, or a smartphone or tablet, you use a program called a web browser. That web browser is what reads and interprets the web pages. There's a lot of different web browsers available: Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, please don't ever use that, Safari, Edge, there's a lot. They understand the computer languages that display web pages. So HTML and CSS are not the only web pages there are, or web development languages there are. There are many more. So, but all browsers know how to read those. So once you learn how to create a web page and code it, any browser can read it. And if you put it on a web server, it can be open anywhere in the world. Everything you see in your web browser is a web page. YouTube, Google, games, this course that we're looking at right now, your Google Drive documents, that's all web pages. And the languages that we're going to use to create our web pages are going to be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. They're the most commonly used ones for building web pages, and each one has its own purpose. and we could choose other ones just like XML, lots of other things, but we're not going to do that. We're going to do HTML. So we're going to do HTML and CSS, and we actually won't cover too much JavaScript until the end of this course, maybe a little bit of it. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is the skeleton of a web page. The web pages are written like regular text, but with tags in it. So your web browser can turn text into special words or symbols into titles, lists, or tables. You can even write a web page in a text editor like Notepad. CSS changes how your web page looks. So that's code, but that code tells the browser how to make the HTML document look. So the color, the layout, the alignment of stuff. If it was all just plain text, it would be hard to read and it wouldn't look great. JavaScript adds interactivity to your web pages to create presentations, games, and animations. Web publishing. In the print world, we publish things on printed books. In the web, we publish web pages and websites. So this is just a nice little graphic that shows you how they work. Words make up your HTML and CSS. A book page is like a web page, and a printed book with all of the pages is like a website where they're all together. So what is HTML? A web page is written using HTML or Hypertext Markup Language. We'll just always call it HTML. HTML helps organize text and format the appearance of content on a web page. The text in the web page needs special tags to be displayed correctly. HTML tags start with a start tag that looks like this. It has some words, which is whatever the name of the tag is, and then an end tag in it. So the start tag or opening tag, and then it also has a closing tag. The closing tag looks the same. It's going to have that start caret symbol, and then a forward slash, and then the end symbol with the name in it. So for example, if you look here, it looks just like this. So here's your tag, end tag, and whatever content is going to go here. If it was words, if it was a link to a web page, whatever you were going to have would go in between the start tag and the end tag. To create a web page, you have to create a file that uses HTML elements to format the contents of the web page. That's how the browser knows to read it as an HTML page. So you just end it with a .html. When you end a document with .html, the browser knows that it needs to read it a certain way. It's called rendering. The first line of your HTML document has to tell it what type of document it is. And that's going to be that opening little caret, an exclamation point, doc type in HTML. When the browser sees that, it's like, oh, hey, we're doing HTML here. I need to make it look like HTML. All HTML pages then after that declaration must start with an opening HTML tag and an end HTML tag. Everything goes in between those two tags. This is an example of an empty document. There is an empty web page. There's nothing in it, but it tells you the doc type. It has a beginning HTML page and an end HTML page. Your document is going to be made up of two main parts, a document head and a document body. The head is where we declare any special instructions. It's called metadata. Usually for us, we will be just giving a title to the page so that we get these nice little words that show up on our tabs at the top of the page. The head of the document starts with a head tag and then ends with an end head tag. And then and nothing that's in there is displayed on the actual web page except this title if you put a title in. Other than that, nothing is displayed. All the meat of your web page, so all of the text and the images and tables, anything you're going to have in it is going to show up in the document body, which is the second main part of the web page. The body is going to start with a body tag and end with an end body tag, and all of our content goes between those two tags. So here is an empty web page that has a head right here and a body. So notice we start with this declaration of an HTML document. We have our beginning HTML tag and our end tag. In between the beginning and end, we have our head and end head and our body and end body. So for this challenge right here, it wants you to add a head and end head element above the body tag. You can see I've already done that. And then check your code to make sure it's correct, and it will go in here. So you're going to put a head and an end head in front of that. Title metadata. So this is the biggest thing that you'll be doing inside the head of the document for right now. The title is what displays in the tab at the top of the screen. So it's kind of important that you have it. And the title should be meaningful. Like this one says introduction, so I know what page I'm on in here. So if we look at this example right here, I'll reset it. It says my first web page is the titles document. It says change the title below to my first web page. You see the change. I just changed it to Mrs. Shagham's page. And you can see it change here in the browser. That's this up here. Down here, it wants you to fix some errors. So it says fix the errors. If you look at it right now, there is doc type, there's an HTML, head, body, body. We're missing a lot of stuff in here. So for this, we need to, first of all, if you have a beginning tag, you have to have an ending tag. So I'm going to go out this way, back up a little bit, and I'm going to do an end HTML tag. It's got to have a beginning and an end HTML. Likewise, for the head, I have to have an end head as well. And the body, this one's missing that / for the end body. So if I check my code now, oh, they want a title too. It says add a title to it. Title, fix this page, end title. There we go. And check my code. There we go. Now it's happy. So for paragraphs, the first element we're going to learn to put in the body of our code is called a paragraph. Browsers display the page contents based on the screen and window size of the client. You can't control how the text is you cannot control how the text is displayed by adding spaces or extra lines or anything in your code. You can, however, split your text into paragraphs using the paragraph element, just like you would do if you were writing a paper for someone. The paragraph element breaks up text into chunks, and it has a beginning tag P and an end tag NP. You have to include the end tag. If you don't include the end tag, it won't work. So here's an example of a paragraph in HTML. So look at how this is a paragraph and this is a paragraph. Look at how even though they put a space and hit enter, it doesn't matter. When you have items between a P and an NP tag, whatever's between there is going to be treated as one chunk or one paragraph of text. If you wanted a break here, you would have to do something different with it, which we will learn about. So I'm going to reset this. We'll go through this example here. So it says, fix the errors if there are any. Add a document. Well, let's fix the errors first. We have an HTML. We're missing that end HTML again. They started with the end body instead of ending with the end body. And there's no end head. Okay, so that fixes body, end body, head, end head, HTML, HTML. Okay, that fixes the errors. And now it says add a document title. I'm going to go in the head here and add a title. And I don't know why it didn't do an end title for me, but there we go. I'm going to call this Summer Faves. Add a paragraph element tag to separate the sentences into individual paragraphs. So each sentence should be a different paragraph. So I'm going to put a P before the first paragraph, or the first sentence here. And I like to split mine up like this. And I generally put my P tags out in lines like this so you can see where they begin and end. That's just me being picky. You could put them at the end. The browser doesn't care how you do it. You could put it like this right here. That's what I mean by the end of the line. And it would treat it just the same. Doesn't matter. I like them out here so I know where they're beginning and ending. P. MP. And P. And NP. All right, now each sentence is on its own line and it has that space already built into it. So it broke it up into these little chunks. If I run a check code, I should get a all green here. So each sentence with a P and an NP. All right, the last thing we're going to talk about is line breaks, and then that's all we're going to do for this lesson today. We can add line breaks, so breaks between sentences, or even more between paragraphs using the break tag. Now, unlike other tags that we've seen so far, the break tag doesn't have an end tag. You can put the end tag right inside of it. You don't have to put it there. It doesn't care. A line break is similar to a paragraph, but it doesn't include any additional spacing. So you can use a P tag and to add additional spacing between lines, and you can use as many break tags and elements as you want. So you can do a whole lot with it. I'm going to do a reset here and show you what these look like. So right now this says, here's an example of code that uses line breaks as well as paragraphs. Go ahead and make changes to see what happens. So right now I like things I like right here. And then, so you can see that's a paragraph, so it already had that break in here. If I wanted another break after this, like 2 spaces, I could just add another break tag and it adds that second. And remember I said you can put that end tag in there if it helps you remember that this tag does not require an end. It is a singleton tag. There are a couple weird tags that do not have ending tags. This is one of them. You could add an extra line between each of these by putting in a break as well. See how it's adding those extra spaces between them? That's all they want you to check on here. Okay, so your challenge is to solve these 2 problems. The first one, it's asking you, it says the body element is missing. Insert the start and end tags for the body element. Add a heading for the list and wrap text in a single paragraph element. Add your own songs by replacing title 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and add a break so that they're each on their own line. So you're going to do this step by step. We're going to go through it after you've done it. We'll do it in class. Now, this one. Fix the start and end tag errors. There's an error right there. Set the title. So give it a title. Wrap the heading of the list to display a single paragraph. And use break elements to display each item on a new line. The group item should now look like a list. So you're going to do your favorite foods. This one is going to be your favorite songs. This one's going to be your favorite foods. And make sure you run and check your code.